do you think are the opponents who defined John Cena's career? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about all of them. How's it going, everybody? My name's Casey Cameron. Welcome back to Leg Slapper, and yes, in today's video, we are going to talk about 10 opponents who defined John Cena's career, and I'm going to put them in order of what I would say is their overall importance. So let's actually get right into a few honorable mentions before we get into the list, because I think there are a couple names that are really important to mention here. The first one being The Miz, for being a career partner and a clear professional friend to Cena through their matches at WrestleMania and beyond. Rollins and Kevin Owens for both being guys that helped usher in the era of Cena actually putting a lot more effort into his performances in the ring in terms of his actual moveset, raising the bar on the way that Cena wrestles in the ring, and for being two people who helped fans change their mind about John Cena. I would credit Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens as being two of the performers who helped Cena get back into his getting cheered era. And then, of course, another honorable mention has to be Shawn Michaels for that awesome set of matches that him and Cena had. They didn't have kind of the most heated feud in the world. They don't have the most celebrated and remembered feud in the world, but man, were their matches awesome. So with that out of the way, let's get into this list, and the first name on the list is JBL. JBL was Cena's first major victory in the WWE. Now, yes, he did win the United States Championship. That's all well and good. I'm talking about the WWE Championship. I'm talking about the big belt, the big deal. Not literally the big gold belt, but the big important championship. JBL was John Cena's first major test. Can John Cena be the guy to carry the company? And at WrestleMania 21, the two of them put on a fun, relatively quick, I think it was like a 10-minute match, but it was a good, fun 10-minute match. You see John Cena being able to pick up the WWE Championship for the first time and absolutely losing it, celebrating with the fans. John Cena, go back and watch it. John Cena puts a lot of effort into his celebration, and honestly, it seems like it's genuine, which is probably why so many people remember that moment so fondly. With John Cena winning that championship, you could say that was it. He did it. He made his ascension to the top. And realistically, this basically was the beginning of Super Cena, the beginning of Cena as the top guy. Then you have their brutal I Quit match from Judgment Day 2005. Oh my God, just go back and watch the match. Look at some of the stills from the match. You don't even have to watch the whole match. Go look at pictures from it and just be like, oh my God, this match was brutal. These guys absolutely took each other to the limit. And this match was really important in establishing John Cena, establishing his character of never give up, always get back up to answer what your opponent is throwing at you. John Cena introduced the Spinner Championship, so I mean, whether you love that or you hate that, if you're like me and you kind of hate it, whatever. I mean, I know lots of people who love it, so it was a fun addition at the very least. JBL was the rich wrestling god, and John Cena was the up-and-coming young blue blood everyman that had to take him out. And there's not many stories better than that. So while most people would ignore JBL in the pantheon of John Cena's rogues gallery in terms of importance, I will put him on that list. I think JBL was essential in establishing John Cena. Next up, we have Umaga, the first beast that John Cena really had to conquer. And it also helps that Umaga was a fun, fresh face for a guy like John Cena to fight at that time. Now, some people may not have been around when Umaga was a big deal, or some people may not have been watching wrestling when Umaga was a big deal, but man, when Umaga came out, you were like, oh my God, who is Umaga about to decimate? I remember being a kid watching Umaga and genuinely being like, oh my God, what if Umaga shows up at school and beats me up? What would I do? Because that's how afraid of Umaga I was. I didn't even like John Cena, but because I was like, oh my God, Umaga's such a monster, and John Cena was the guy to take out the monster, I was like, yeah, come on, John Cena. And if you know anything about this channel, I wasn't a big John Cena guy. In my opinion, it was this feud that really improved John Cena's longevity at the top in the minds of fans, because this showed Cena could take on monsters, and he could beat monsters, and he would be brutalized in these matches, and he would still be able to win. And I know eventually fans would really start to hate that. Honestly, you could pick any of their matches to go back and watch, either like the New Year's Revolution match or the Royal Rumble match. I think most people should go and watch that Royal Rumble match, because man, I think that is where John Cena really put in the work to become John Cena. I mean, come on, when he has the ropes, using it for the STF against Umaga, he's got the crimson mask. Go and watch it. The end of that match is fantastic. It is absolutely great, and if you haven't watched it, you definitely should. For being John Cena's first real beast to conquer, Umaga makes it onto this list. Up next, I have put Batista, the other big hero and the parallel to John Cena in a lot of ways. Now, I don't know about you or where you lived, but when I was a kid, the fan base between John Cena and Batista was a split thing. When I was a kid at school and you'd talk to your friends about wrestling, there'd be 50% of them that loved John Cena and the other 50% that loved Batista. And that was your guy, and your guy was better than the other guy. And that's the way it was. And when I was a kid, it was Batista. I hated John Cena because I loved Batista and I wanted to watch Batista absolutely wreck John Cena. And that's what I got at SummerSlam in 2008 when Batista absolutely brutalized John Cena. The two of them would feud more in the future, probably most notably at WrestleMania 26 for the WWE Championship. But even then, even though it was slightly different, they did manage to tie the story all the way back around. Batista was questioning how a guy like John Cena could become the top guy when a guy like Batista was there, available, existing. How could you put somebody in a top spot over Batista? If you go back and watch that match, it kind of looks like fans are really conflicted on who to actually cheer for, Batista or John Cena. And that's really interesting considering Batista was a hot heel at the time. The WrestleMania 26 match was a ton of fun. It was basically the Cena, the company man who fights for the fans, who fights for what is right and for the love of wrestling, and Batista, who's there for greed and domination. And he's like, who's this guy? Man, great story, great feud, some fun matches. Batista, John Cena, with all the extra parallels of their career, the way that Batista helped to follow the blueprint of a guy like John Cena. And you could even argue Batista, in a lot of ways, did a lot better things in Hollywood than John Cena did for quite a while. For all those reasons and many more, Batista earns a spot on this list. Now, here's a controversial one, and it's going to be controversial for a lot of people because of how low it is. And up next, I have CM Punk. I know some people would say this is John Cena's greatest rivalry. I would personally disagree, but I do see the arguments. CM Punk is the exact opposite of John Cena when you're looking at what a wrestler is. John Cena is the muscle-bound, never give up, never say die babyface hero, and CM Punk was the dark horse indie type of guy. And now CM Punk was coming up to take the championship from John Cena, to stop all this fakeness, all this corporatism. CM Punk was gonna be the guy to fight for the fans, to give the fans what they wanted to see. And oh my God, did the fans love it. In 2011, I loved it. But the big thing is that CM Punk really kicked off the era of John Cena really starting to put over newer stars. Like right off the top of my head, after he put over CM Punk, he would the next year put over Ziggler, he would put over Daniel Bryan. I mean, you could say Orton didn't need to be put over by Cena, but he also put over Orton. There was a lot of other people that he would continue to put over moving forward. Now, again, I'm aware there are certain people he didn't put over that he should have put over. Rusev, Bray Wyatt, a lot of other names. But just because he wasn't putting everyone over, doesn't mean he wasn't putting people over. Just look at their feud. Look at the pipe bomb, right? The entire pipe bomb is pointed directly at John Cena, directly at the WWE. John Cena was the symbol of hypocrisy for the WWE in CM Punk's mind. I don't need to say anything else about it. Go watch the pipe bomb. The pipe bomb is awesome. I'm sure you've seen it 1,000 times. It's great. But of course, you have that awesome match at Money in the Bank. Some would consider that to be John Cena's best match, and I see the argument. I wouldn't try and argue too much with you. I would put that pretty high. It is an awesome match with an excellent story. Then, of course, you have the SummerSlam match, where CM Punk had already gone over John Cena at Money in the Bank, and he gets to go over again. And then following that, their next meetup would probably be Raw 1000. So we've got CM Punk as the champion versus John Cena. I believe John Cena ends up winning that match via disqualification, so CM Punk retains his championship anyways. So in this feud, CM Punk basically did get the better of Cena all 3 times. And then, of course, there was their match from earlier this year, which Cena actually got the win on. CM Punk was a fun and unique opposite to John Cena in a way that hadn't been seen yet. He wasn't a monster that was going to show up and brutalize John Cena. He was the guy that spoke for the new generation of fans. A new generation of fans who didn't necessarily want John Cena. And that's probably why every time they were in the ring together, whether it be on the mic or competing, it was magic. Up next might be another controversial one, AJ Styles, the other top guy from that other company. When AJ Styles came in, everybody was hyped and everybody was thinking about every type of match AJ Styles could have with WWE talent. And one of the biggest ones was what would happen when AJ Styles met with John Cena. Spoiler alert, it would be some of the greatest matches of John Cena's career. And even though AJ Styles is really good, I would argue some of them are some of the best of AJ Styles' career as well, right? You've got 2016 Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, great matches. AJ Styles goes over Cena. Their feud was so much fun, and a lot of the time, it was actually AJ Styles bringing a unique dynamic to their feud. The whole beat up John Cena thing is absolutely hilarious, and that's one of the things that got me as a fan rooting for John Cena. I like AJ Styles. I think it's funny that he wants to beat up John Cena, but I think it's even funnier that John Cena has to deal with this annoying AJ Styles and wants to beat him up. Now, I would say AJ Styles is most important in that he was the person that John Cena beat in order to tie Ric Flair's record for the most WWE World Heavyweight Championships, WWE Championships, whatever you want to say, most World Championships. And that match was an absolute classic. You literally could go to basically any of the matchups between AJ Styles and John Cena, and you could say they're your favorite, and you could give me different reasons why for each one, and I would believe you on basically all of them. Without AJ Styles, John Cena's list of matches that are truly excellent would be a lot shorter. Well, why don't we just keep the controversy going, because next I have Brock Lesnar, and a pick that may confuse a lot of people. But here's my thoughts. Throughout his career, Brock Lesnar has been John Cena's physical limit, the guy that he just can't quite whoop in the same way that he can to anybody else on the roster. Now, admittedly, early on in their careers, their back and forths weren't really anything to write home about. Most of their early time was when John Cena was still in the Doctor of Thugonomics era of his career, so he was doing his little raps at Brock Lesnar, trying not to get absolutely demolished by Brock Lesnar, who was already being positioned at the top of the company. So it would actually be a lot later in John Cena's career that the rivalry would pick up in a meaningful way, and I'm talking about Extreme Rules 2012, because man, that match came out of nowhere and surprised everybody, both for John Cena and Brock Lesnar. Go back and watch it. It's a great match that makes Brock Lesnar look like a terrifying monster, and it proves that John Cena is still able to conquer monsters. Just barely. Then fast forward to SummerSlam, I believe it was 2014, where you've got John Cena taking on Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar basically just squashes John Cena for the WWE Championship. Crazy moment. Brock was always the person there to prove that no matter how dominant John Cena was, no matter how many championships John Cena could win, there was always another guy that could take those championships whenever he wanted, that could beat John Cena whenever he wanted. Brock Lesnar is John Cena's career boogeyman, and whether you like him or not, that's a fact. And that's a fact that makes him a special opponent. Okay, now I think we're getting out of the controversy for these last 4 picks. I think most people will at least see what I'm saying, even if they don't necessarily agree with me here. Up next, I have Bray Wyatt, John Cena's dark side. The feud between these two was so strange and so captivating that it's honestly kind of hard to put into words. Yeah, it's not the right decision to have Cena go over Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 30. I'm with you. I agree. But that doesn't mean that match wasn't a lot of fun, and that doesn't mean that their Extreme Rules match in the steel cage wasn't a ton of fun. When they have the steel cage and John Cena looks like he's gonna win, we got the kid that comes out and he's singing that song that Bray Wyatt used to sing all the time. Oh my God, it was it was bizarre. You didn't know what to think, and of course, then Bray Wyatt actually got to win that match. And with it being a steel cage match, you could argue that Bray Wyatt did technically win the feud there. Then of course, who could forget the Firefly Funhouse match from WrestleMania 36? And if you're like me and you didn't really love it originally, I suggest going back and looking at it, especially right now in the midst of John Cena's retirement. You might have a new appreciation for it. I found a new appreciation for it as something that was a bold and unique swing in a time when wrestling really sucked. Essentially having Bray Wyatt and The Fiend look over the career of John Cena in this weird, twisted, retrospective match, it was awesome. It was so much fun. It was so weird and fascinating, and it was so different, especially when you consider the fact that The Fiend doesn't care about any of it, and he's just there to dominate. The really unfortunate thing is that the WWE just couldn't capitalize on a character as cool as The Fiend. Even though he's gone, Bray Wyatt will stand out as one of those opponents that pushed John Cena to his psychological limits in the ring, and one of those people who managed to push him and bring out his greatest level of creativity. Now for the number 3 and 2 pick, I will just do them in the order that I have them here. They are not actually in a specific order. For me personally, they are a tie. The first one we're going to talk about here is Edge, Cena's original real rival. All the way back at New Year's Revolution in like 2006, Edge cashes in the Money in the Bank after John Cena's already been through a grueling Elimination Chamber match. And no one could believe it. Everyone was like, oh my God. Because remember, at the time, the Money in the Bank really wasn't an established concept. Nobody kind of was like, okay, well, yeah, you get a championship match. How does that work? I don't know if anybody expected Edge to come out that night, do that, absolutely dog walk Cena, take his championship, Oh man, it was heartbreaking, it was wonderful, and that is exactly why it was the perfect way to kick off the feud between these two career rivals. The moment launched Edge. It launched an all-time feud, and it solidified the Money in the Bank briefcase all at the same time. I'd say that's a pretty important moment between these two. And of course, even though Edge stole the championship from John Cena would always go on and eventually win it back, right? Like, I'm pretty sure John Cena won the title back as soon as Royal Rumble 2006, but they did have some really fun matches. I know a lot of people look back fondly on their TLC match in Toronto. Then of course, there's also their SummerSlam main event where Edge managed to retain the WWE Championship over John Cena in John Cena's hometown. Edge was a great foil for Cena because he valued every single thing that John Cena didn't. He was the ultimate opportunity. Edge wanted to claim every opportunity that came his way, whether it was fair or not. Edge was happy to wallop his opponents with steel chairs. And of course, he was generally disrespectful to anyone and everyone that he came across. And then of course, there's, I forget what year it was, but it was an Elimination Chamber match where you've got Chris Jericho, he hits the code breaker on Cena and he lands on the ropes into the 619, into the spear, and then boom, 1, 2, 3, John Cena, who was the champion walking into that match, was eliminated, meaning that in that Elimination Chamber match, there would be a new champion crowned. And honestly, I think we need a little bit more of that in Elimination Chambers because, man, Elimination Chambers become a lot more fun once the championship is destined to belong to someone new. Anyways, these two men have practically always been at odds, and it's honestly a shame that we couldn't get one final interaction between the two during John Cena's retirement year. Well, if Edge is tied with somebody, I think we can all guess who it is. It is Randy Orton, John Cena's other career rival, the flip side of John Cena. If you look at John Cena and you look at Randy Orton, if you put John Cena in the same career positions that Randy Orton was in, would John Cena have become Randy Orton? Maybe, and that's kind of cool. The two men used their feud to prove that they could be top stars, that Randy Orton could be a top heel, and that John Cena could be the top babyface. Like, basically, every single time these two met, it felt like a big deal, whether it was a promo segment or whether they were having a match. I mean, these two basically had like every stipulation match you could think of outside of the ones that are basically reserved for The Undertaker. I mean, they had a great Iron Man match. They had a great TLC match. John Cena and Randy Orton just did it all, and they did it all excellently. I mean, heck, one time they literally both tagged together to take on the entire Monday Night Raw roster. Yes, really, that is a thing that happened. And no, it wasn't that good. But like I said, that's just the matches. When we're talking about the mic, oh my God, these guys could cut to the core with each other, and they could have the audience in the palm of their hands from time to time. Sometimes Randy Orton was so hated, he could barely get a word in, and sometimes John Cena was so loved in those moments that it felt like he could say anything to Randy Orton, and the crowd was going to eat it up. Like I said, you could put Edge higher, you could put Orton higher. I'd rather just ignore the whole debate and say, I think they're tied. If enough people say this guy over this guy, but they're both at the top, I'll put them as a tie. So that leaves the number one pick. Who do I believe is the most important opponent for John Cena throughout the history of his career? I think it's The Rock. I know this actually might be a little controversial. I do think it's The Rock. I don't think John Cena is The Rock's most important career opponent. I would say that's probably Stone Cold. But for John Cena, I do think it's The Rock. Seeing them do twice in a lifetime, the two back-to-back WrestleMania main events where they're absolutely giving it their all to prove who is the best. It was a great story. It was a lot of fun. It was basically like 2-ish years long of a feud. And while those matches were good, they were fine, they were fun, the thing is the most interesting thing about The Rock and John Cena is that they are the same person. The Rock did what John Cena did. They have done the same thing. The Rock, excellent wrestler, great on the mic, absolutely oozing charisma everywhere he goes, captivating WWE fans and showing people why he is the guy. And then he leaves, he goes to Hollywood to star in movies, and it works. He becomes a massive Hollywood star, a massive Hollywood draw when he's in the right movies. And then he comes back, and who's here now? It's John Cena, the guy that is in movies, that's wrestling, and now John Cena has to defend his spot from The Rock, the person he would eventually become. You can argue that The Rock is not John Cena's greatest rival because the fact that I think they literally did only have 2 matches ever, but it's the story behind both men that makes this rivalry so important and so historic. The idea here was, can John Cena beat the greatest? And you know what? John Cena did eventually beat the greatest. And you know what John Cena is? The greatest of all time. You know what The Rock did after John Cena beat him? The Rock went back to movies. You know what John Cena is about to do after he's probably beaten by Gunther? He's gonna go back to Hollywood. Now, I know John Cena apparently signed on for like a 5-year thing with the WWE after the fact, but I have a feeling he's probably gonna be acting within those 5 years. So yeah, Going back to Hollywood. And these were guys that really went at each other on the promos, the having your notes written on your wrist, or just all the ways that The Rock would find to attack John Cena in these new crazy ways. Regardless of how you feel about him now, the importance of The Rock to the career of John Cena can never be understated. If you ask me, I would say The Rock is John Cena's most important opponent of all time. But hey, that's just me. Tell me what you think. Tell me why I'm wrong. Why not? Tell me who I missed here. I know guys would include the likes of like a Kurt Angle for sure. I'm sure you could squeak in a couple other names that I didn't include here, but these were just the options that I picked. Go down in the comments below and rationalize why the person I left off is someone that should be included. I would love to hear it, and maybe you'll change my mind. But I've been Casey Cameron. This is Leg Slapper. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you in the next wrestling video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I just want to spread the positivity of professional wrestling. I love professional wrestling. It's so much fun. I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.